Alright friends, welcome back to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This is another one of our episodes of our Freestyle Tactics series. This series is designed to demonstrate difficult or strange situations you may face, and then deploy advanced and unique tactics in the pursuit of victory. This force is here, so we're just going to go ahead and attack it. Looks like it's about 1,300 Battanians. And we'll see what kind of a battlefield is presented here for us to try some tactics. We're actually favored on the bars above, and that's because we have higher quality troops. So victory is virtually assured here, but we want to limit our losses because we continue to make this invasion into Battania and Valandia to try to fuck up these different territories. Alright. So we're going to pull... There's a bridge there, but I'm almost sure there's another bridge up here. Been on this battlefield a couple times. We want the high ground. Anytime we're fighting Battania, right, you want to make sure that you have the high ground. And once we have the high ground, of course, our archers, which are at least comparable to the Battanian archers that they're going to have, Battanian Fiend champs, etc., we're going to be able to do some serious damage to them. Now, they may try to cut us off to this bridge here. They may not let us get the high ground, in which case we'll have to regroup, rethink our tactic here. But I've got cavalry already here in place. They're 200 plus units away. I think we're going to at least be able to get our troops across here and then move them to the left, move them uphill. Either way, I think we're going to be able to take the high ground. So the first thing I'm going to do here is, as my troops cross, I'm going to have... It's heavy horse screens, basically. I've got my 2nd and 3rd division here. We're just going to assign these guys in long, narrow strips, shield wall, and face the enemy. And what that does is effectively give my troops a bit of a safe corridor passage over that bridge. At this stage, I've just got my troops following me, so I'm fairly confident they'll go across that bridge. And we'll just fearlessly come up here and misthrow some javelins at the enemy. I swear my javelin skill is getting worse the more I play. It might just be because I'm talking. I'm doing more and more of these videos live, and we get a little cavalry skirmish here. Cavalry skirmish, right, boys? Take off a few heads, right? Let's decrease morale a little bit. Roll his head around. Yeah, okay, so the Battanians are firmly in place down there, and that's a death trap. You've heard me use the war axiom. It's very, very accurate in Bannerlord. Static troops are dead troops, right? Our troops are just going to sit there. They've got an archer wing behind an infantry wing and then 2 different cavalry wings. Well, we're going to be shooting downhill on them, and then we're going to probably try to put into place some kind of kill box. So I got to get my troops set up here kind of quickly because they are running right into the archery fire, but I'll also be able to screen with cavalry again. Right? We're going to move our cavalry. We're going to move these guys down here again in just big long lines with shield wall, right? That's F2, F2. Drilled that guy in the head. That was all skill, folks, by the way. That shot right there, I planned that exactly to go like that. So we're going to spread our horse out here basically to give us a nice protection wall. A lot of the archers' arrows will be directed at the cavalry instead of our archers as they set up. And then I think what we'll do is we'll just do a spreading... We'll spread our flank here. We'll just continue to sort of envelop this force, hem them in, shoot them to pieces, and then eventually destroy their vanguard. That 2nd cavalry wing is kind of hanging back. It's kind of curious. Battania has some of the worst cavalry in the game, but you do have to be aware of them coming in on your archers, right? Any heavy horse stampeding your archers is gonna result in bad losses. So we're gonna try to protect them in this fight. So I've got 1 archery wing already set up there. I also have the 8th Corps in this battle. There's a lot of guys in my 8th Corps that have good ranged weapons, and this is the 8th Corps there. Those guys are not threatened by cavalry, right? Unless it's a huge wave of like Valandian, really nasty, heavy horse. Those guys are not concerned at all about cavalry. Most of them have high level skills, 300 athleticism, or at least a lot of them have 300 athleticism, and very good armor. So a weak Battanian cavalry charge is of no value. So now the enemy is hemmed in even worse. Their cavalry is sort of disabled, and we're going to be able to essentially to start to form a wide ring. We're gonna lengthen our lines here. In a lot of military situations, this is considered dangerous because lengthened lines mean thin lines, right? That means you're one infantry deep across on your lines. You also have a lot of places where, in theory, if the enemy were to organize an attack, they'd be able to puncture a line, get behind you, and then flank you, right? In real life against human opponents, lengthening your line would be something that you would do with extreme caution, and you'd have a plan to counter enemy attacks to attempt to puncture your line. Still, a lengthening line, what it's going to allow us to do here is I set up archers into the forest. That's the 4th Corps, and we'll move the skirmishers over here too to rain death. What effectively it does is it allows you to get enfilade and flanking attacks on the enemy. Those are attacks where you're shooting at them. A lot of their guys are holding up shields, right? But they're holding them mostly towards the front. Actually, their archers are in front there, so they're going to take a beating. They have a very foolish formation here. They have their infantry in the back and the archers in front. They basically have no chance with that setup against our setup here. Now, my infantry line does have some pikes. That's not optimal. Those guys obviously in shield wall, they just stand there like dipshits, I guess obediently taking arrows to the face. So we're gonna suffer a few casualties from that. And that is one of the benefits of having your lines compacted. If you have a line in shield wall and it's 5-man deep, your pole arm, your so-called shock troops, those guys will be at the back of it, protected from the arrows by the guys in the front. Right? In this case, because I'm lengthening my lines, those guys are a little vulnerable. So all we're doing at this stage is very slowly moving our units in. Just systematically, right? We're systematically doing this, right? And part of the reason you do that is because if the enemy makes an adjustment, if the enemy charges, if the enemy makes a move, if you do it sort of systematically and slowly, you don't have these big movements that are suddenly vulnerable. Like if I moved my archer wing that's going to be on this far right flank, the enemy's right, our left, if I moved them out there really far, really fast, well, the enemy might attack them with heavy horse. They might charge them with their infantry and cut them off from our force. You want to make it a practice to do these moves sort of systematically. So I've got a band of heavy horse over there in shield wall as well. In this case, they're mostly defensive. I probably will use them later in this fight, but the enemy doesn't have much of a heavy horse threat. Right? Britannian heavy horse are probably the weakest in the game. You can see them sending these little ponies at us. Not to mention it's 11 of them. I mean, I'm not threatened by that at all. I'm actually... It might look like I'm targeting. I'm trying not to target them there. I'm trying to move my troops up, and these guys are actually getting in my way. So we'll just kill a few of them. That'll help us move our troops in. Now, what I told you before, right? Moving in your lines systematically. I now have cavalry and an infantry line blocking for our archers on the side there. There's a little javelin exchange, right? But those guys have their shields up, right? So all the enemy axes and javelins, not all, but almost all of them are just finding shields. All right, so the enemy's sending their infantry out. Now we begin to kite, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a kill box. A kill box is effectively where you manipulate the enemy vanguard of probably 200 infantry into a very bad spot where they are surrounded by your troops, and then you collapse those troops on them all at the same time. So this is their infantry group. It might not even be 200. It might be 150 because we've whittled it down a lot with our ranged attacks, but they're moving exactly where I want. Right, I've got my cavalry over here, I've got cavalry behind them, and now what I'm going to start to do is encircle them. I'm not going to let them reach our troops. Get out of here. I'm not going to let them reach our troops, right? They're right next to us, but there's no panic, right? I've got my 6th Corps here. We just back them up. These guys move quickly. The enemy can't get to them, right? They're frustrated. We're going to move those guys back as well, right? I don't want any of my archers having an axe in their face. Hey, you can join your guys on foot, dude. There goes your horse. So I've got 2 cavalry divisions that are now behind them. That one's in square, so they're sort of attacking it, getting a kill here and there, but not really going to get really good results. I'm going to move my infantry in a slanting line. That's the 1st Corps over here. Now it's time to collapse it. You can see I've got cavalry on the far side, 2 different banks. That's the 2nd and 3rd. I've got infantry on this side. I just told my skirmishers to come to me, follow me, right? That's one of the ways that I collapse a kill box. And this infantry force of maybe 100 and something Battanians is completely surrounded. It's 170 guys. It was about 200 before this attack, and now it's just everybody's attacking. The 6th, the 8th, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, all of the archers are shooting. You can see the heavy horse roaring in behind them, and this is like a 20-second death chamber. All of their guys are just massacred in a huge collapsing wave of attack. Look at, here come the cavalry behind them, and it doesn't get much better time than that. I don't always time it that well. This will probably end up as a recording, that I could show for the channel. I probably record and make videos about at a 1/10 rate of the actual battles I fight. Right? A lot of the battles are sort of nondescript, but this one probably will be worth saving. So now that it's complete, all we're doing is reforming the lines, right? There's reinforcements forming over there. They got a nice infantry block, so I'm moving archers back and further to the enemy's right. I don't want their infantry to come to grips with our archers, right? In this type of battle, where I'm making this aggressive invasion into Battania, into Valandia, I don't have reinforcements coming. I need to minimize my losses here. Fight tactically clean battles. And then mop up the enemy with very few losses. If they rout, that's even better, right? I don't need to kill all their troops. If we can lower their morale, they're just getting hammered by our archers. If we can lower morale to the point where they run, so much the better. But you can see what I'm doing here. This infantry division, I'm putting way down on their flank, right? At this stage, we're getting a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more risky with our moves because they're down to like tier 3, tier 4 units. It's not nearly the threat that their main vanguard was. I'm spreading out my archers. This 6th Corps is now at shield wall, right? These are skirmishers, but don't forget, you can put skirmishers in shield wall too, right? Most of them have a shield. The ones that don't have a shield, of course, will be behind people with shields, and we're going to collapse on this enemy. 1st Infantry's all the way across the screen there. We can start having those guys engage. The enemy's either reforming now or routing, so we're going to engage, and these enemies that do get caught up are going to get slaughtered. Honestly, though, it looks like they're routing. We've put such a whipping on them. And one of the things that makes the enemy run is if they don't get any kills. You can think of it like someone going to a casino and playing slots. Well, if you lose for 4 straight hours and never hit a single win, you leave. In fact, you don't stay 4 hours, right? The casino is designed, the slot machines are designed to give people a little dopamine rush here and there, a little bit of victory every once in a while to keep them in their seat gambling away all their money, right? They're scientifically designed to own people who have addictive personalities. Well, the same thing is necessary in morale for the enemy troops, right? In this case, it looks like they're going to put up a little last-second stand here, but if their morale is close to breaking, which I think it is, if we can just inflict a few more kills here, they're like someone who went to a casino and never won a single slot. Well, guess what? They're leaving. They're going to do the exact same thing that this Battanian force is going to do. They're going to flee. They're going to rout. They're going to go back to their sad existence where they just gambled all their money away, and the battle's over. See, we'll just come in here and behead a few more guys here just to encourage a rout. Now, some of these guys are routing, but they're actually, well, much like the gamblers, right? They're back for more sometimes, and just like at the casino, folks, you're going to get beheaded. Don't gamble, by the way. I'll try not to do too much social commentary on my site, but if you're going to gamble, at least make sure that you have a chance at an edge. Like play poker, play some kind of skill game. Please don't sit at slots. Like, by all means, if that's something you feel like doing or you ever have the urge to do, my God, please treat it like entertainment. Expect to lose all your money every time, and don't get addicted. Okay, so that's social commentary aside. Hopefully you enjoyed the kill box here. Hopefully you enjoyed this decimating force. We had 2 deaths, right? That's going to help us on this campaign. Hopefully these advanced tactics will continue to help you dominate your game. Please make comments if you're interested. If you want to know more about something specific, subscribe, all that stuff. I appreciate all of you subscribers, and I'll see you fellas next time.